Time now for this week's Health Matters. Lynn Szabo, PA, along with Mike Thornton here in the KFUG studios. I'm Paul Kritz. And a lot of times these days, people ask, where's my flying car? And talking about the brave new world of technology that we were all promised in the 20th century and really hasn't happened other than, our phones. So there
Maybe
is
Alexa, but that is a dark side.
Okay, that could be a dark, exactly. So while we're waiting for that to all happen, what has happened is that there are a bunch of things medically that you can have as a private layperson citizen in your house that you couldn't have in years past.
And some of them are super familiar.
Some
of them are not.
So today, I know we talked about this a couple of episodes ago, just about what is available, what can you have, what's a good idea to sort of have your own medical, I guess, I don't want to call it just medical equipment, your own, do you have a term for this?
Things that the triage nurse is hoping you have on hand when they make a decision about where to send you for care.
Okay, wow, all right,
Kind of like that.
Yeah,
okay.
I was going to say medical bug out bag, but
Kind of.
Lynn's version's better.
Okay. So what's available for us? What do we need to have in our homes so that we can stay on top of our own healthcare?
Well, the coolest thing, of course, is a pulse ox. This is kind of the darling of the Delta wave. And the reason it's important, it gives the provider two important pieces of data. One is what the pulse is, which is kind of nice, but not as important as what the oxygen level in the bloodstream is.
Okay.
And so you remember when people were actually happy hypoxics, so they had really low oxygen levels and it didn't seem to bother them to the point where they're turning blue. That was with the original wave.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
okay,
what we
okay.
called them, happy hypoxics.
I don't remember people being happy about that, but okay.
Well, what it meant was they didn't know that their lung function was as crummy as it was.
And even they're turning blue, but they're just walking around like everything's fine?
Right.
Okay.
And then, so the solution to that is when you're trying to talk to somebody over the phone or doing a telemed appointment is to try and get them to figure out what their pulse ox is. Mm-hmm. And so I know United Indian Health gives out pulse oxes like right and left.
Wow.
And, I bought some for my aging parents and all that kind of stuff. I think they're super cheap. They're less than $20. You can get it on Amazon, but ask your doctor first because they're kind of, they used to be like there was only one for the whole ER and now there's like millions sitting around on people's desks.
And that's like underpinning this whole episode.
Right.
That's my realization is that, oh wow, everybody's got these things.
Yeah, they're kind of like tribbles. They're everywhere.
So just so everybody's clear, I mean, a pulse ox, that's the thing they put on your finger, right?
Yeah, you put it on your finger. It's almost ubiquitous in doctors' offices now. And it's cool. Now, 10 minutes ago, I wasn't really certain how it worked. And so I went to the wiki and found out what it does. I thought maybe it was infrared or something, but I found out what it does is not that. Actually, it sends two different frequencies of light through whatever appendage you have it on. It doesn't always have to be the finger. And it measures them after they've gone through the tissue and then plugs it into a formula to get a really accurate reading of what the oxygen level is. They're accurate within 2 to 4%.
That's nuts.
Which is, like us old timers who used to have to draw blood gases on patients, which is a radial artery stick and is really painful and hard to do. This is like an amazing thing. This is almost a miracle.
How new were pulse oxes? Because every time, for as far back as I've watched TV, they've been around. But
right. But only in specialized situations. What's new about this now is that you can get one on Amazon in 2 days.
Wow.
And for less than $20.
That's okay.
And it's really, really helpful, especially with sick kids who can't really tell you what they got going on because they're too young to be verbal, or elders who are maybe, not giving you good information. And this goes back to why we call vitals, because it's vital information in medicine. And this gives like the best numbers ever.
Wow. Okay.
So you can put it on your finger. Don't do it if you have fingernail polish. You can, if you're concerned about a baby, that it's workable on a toe. It's workable on a thumb for like a toddler. And it has to be on, I would say sometimes about 30 seconds.
And does it have to be where there's a nail?
Pardon me?
Does it have to be where there's a nail to
No,
the light?
they use them on babies. They have a different form of this on babies that just has 2 sensors that you tape to the toe.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be the nail. And
Wow.
I think they could do it on earlobes. Actually.
That's what I imagine nose,
Yeah.
but that's me.
I've seen that, although I think a wiggly baby would tolerate that even less.
Right.
Yeah. So really, really important. Maybe for the next wave that's coming up, they'll be more important again. So make sure you have one sitting around. I think they're worth it if you've got a frail person or a child you're trying to take care of.
Okay.
And I know when Nurse Erin calls, if you can say, hey, I got a pulse ox and I was able to get a reading and this is what it is, he's going to be really happy because it immediately gives him important information to either be able to see, a sick person in clinic or maybe go to the ER.
Right.
And what's a healthy or unhealthy range when it comes to
Like
pulse ox?
95% or better?
Yeah, and a kid, I would think 99 to 100.
Okay.
So somebody with really good lungs would be that. And, probably us sitting here, being inactive really, we're probably around 95 to 97.
Okay.
I would worry about any kid that was less than 90.
Yeah.
And then I would worry about an adult that was slipping into the 80s.
Okay.
So it's kind of on the same grading scale like school, like 90% to 100.
You want an A?
It's kind of what you want.
Yeah, okay,
you want
okay.
an A. And if you're slipping into the B zone, then maybe it's time to call Nurse Erin.
Okay. Wow. All right. The next thing you have on the list here is a thermometer, and I only have this vague awareness from interactions with healthcare people over the last few years that thermometers have changed immensely.
Yeah. So no more mercury thermometers. We were supposed to have gotten rid of all of those, although nobody did. But so all the grandmas are still holding on to theirs.
You don't need a battery for those.
Right. So I think it's a similar mechanism where you can either put it at your temple and flash some light through there, or if you're worried about the rays or something affecting your brain, which it doesn't do, you can do it on your wrist.
Okay.
So really it's targeting the blood vessel to get
Okay.
information and flashing light through it. So you have a superficial blood vessel in your temporal artery. So they also, I think, go off something as mundane as heat. And so you might see some at doctor's office that they'll put behind your ear or they'll put on your temple or they'll kind of make a line over your forehead.
Yeah, that's the one I
Down your
remember
face.
mostly. And that's actually reading temperature as opposed to shooting light into you to gauge something.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And, sometimes they're way off.
Really?
But-
is that a concern? What about the kinds, so just the thermometers you get that we all know, they're vaguely
The little digital ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, those I think are more accurate, but also it's a little harder to measure a kid or a toddler. So they don't really like things in their mouth, or they shouldn't have some things in their mouth. So those are usually axillary temperatures. So
It's okay, kid. I can remember thermometers in other places.
Yeah, they could be worse. They do not do that anymore.
Really? Is that gone?
on
The
routine.
rectal thermometer is
Not
gone?
on routine. I think that went bye with the end of the mercury thermometer.
Okay.
So,
My folks have and actually we'll sit around like a parlor game and take each other's blood pressure. They have a blood pressure cuff.
I like this too. This is another thing that we can hand out pretty freely at UHS. So, and if you buy one at the store or if you get one from your doctor's office, make sure it's calibrated.
Okay.
So oftentimes these are wrist cuffs. So you just put it on your wrist because it's a little hard to get it placed properly on your upper arm. The medical assistant should be checking the location of your artery and the area of the bend of your elbow,
Okay.
and then positioning the cuff with a certain area over the path of the artery.
Right.
They almost never do
Oh, wow.
because they're they got a time crunch and maybe they don't really understand the need for that.
Is it easier to get proper placement with the wrist cuff?
Yeah, I think it is if you're doing it on yourself. I don't know if it's as good if somebody's doing it on you, but that kind of depends on the skill of the medical
I'll
assistant.
talk to my folks next time we're having a round of who's got the worst blood pressure.
Right, make sure it's placed correctly. Make sure
So-
it's sized correctly.
Certain part of the cuff goes on the bicep above the
above
artery
the-
would be in here, right?
Yeah, and we call it an anacubital fossa, but it's the bend of your elbow.
Okay.
Okay, the inner bend of your elbow.
Okay,
And
all right.
what I do is there's a line usually on cuffs that says radial artery.
Okay.
So I just feel for the pulse. Okay. And then kind of position that line appropriately.
Okay.
There's also sizes for cuffs. And, especially it's bigger cuffs for bigger people, but also people who are lifting weights and have really prominent biceps probably ought to be having bigger cuffs.
Yeah.
And the reason for this is you can either underread blood pressure or overread. So you get inaccuracies in the reading based on whether the cuff is the appropriate size or not.
Okay.
And sometimes it's hard to tell.
That's a hell of a flex, though.
Right.
Sorry, ma'am, I can't use that gun.
Yeah, I know.
Not on this bite. Not on these guns.
Yeah, that's what I'm sitting there thinking. I'm saying, man, my guns are going to cost me more money.
I know, but guns are good for immunization because you have somewhere for the shot to go.
Well, one of the things, Lynn, about taking blood pressure, I mean, I realize that it changed a lot from when I was younger because, like, now they actually have you come in and sit down for a while,
Right.
and like put your arm up on something,
Yeah.
because they used to just measure your blood pressure however you walked in the door, and it didn't take into account how much rushing you may have been doing or any of that.
Yeah, about the time electronic medical records came into use and the Affordable Care Act, which emphasized quality of care, those kind of readings became important because people get higher reimbursement if they're keeping their patients healthier. And so if you rush in and you have a slightly high blood pressure, and most of the providers are like, no big deal.
Right.
But the computer highlights it in red. The medical assistant gets upset. And then the instruction from the head medical assistant is repeat that when the patient sat there for a while.
So they're doing this
See if we can
because
get
the
it.
computer's telling them and they make
Yeah,
more
this
money.
is the quality of care indice. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, at some point, I always get ideas for episodes.
I know.
Yes.
Because that's, I guess I never realized until recently talking with you on Health Matters that these little micro interactions that you have in the examination room, whether they ask you a certain question
Right.
or don't, or now whether or not they give you a follow-up, a blood pressure
Right.
reading, that those have dollar signs attached to them.
They do. They really do.
Wow.
Yeah.
These
Wow.
all of a sudden it feels like microaggressions to me.
Well, yeah, I know it really. I mean, it's like you got to go into the doctor's like going to a strip club, and you take like a wad of ones, and you
Okay.
go, okay, I need another. Here's here, and just throw them off at them. And
Right.
that's just, oh my god, I'm out of money. I guess my appointment's over. That just angers me. Wow, and makes me sad.
I think the intent was to improve quality of care.
Really?
I don't think it does.
No.
So if
Not if you're monetarily incentivizing these little actions that aren't really attached to the
There's these
outcome.
sneaky little workarounds. Yeah.
So if I have more little actions, does that mean my appointment gets longer?
Yeah, it could be.
Like if there's there's more there's more little dollar things that they can do while I'm in there.
So do you actually?
Do I actually get more time?
Do you get more time with
Because there's like another dollar.
Yeah, so the way I would look at that is not much on the dollar thing, but that the appointment is being hijacked by probably things that aren't super important to the
Right.
patient, but are important to the provider
Right.
or the institution because they get, attaboys for it. Or,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to be
that's
clear too that when I use the strip club metaphor, Lynn's facial expression, she was aghast, and I just want to make sure
I was having never been to a strip club.
See,
I
but
was
here's the
trying
thing:
to-
Well, she was
neither have I. So it's just
well,
the
that was
television
clear.
thing.
Well,
like-
the thing is that Lynn did not want strippers disparaged.
there we go. That's it. It was
true,
inequity.
And I have taken care of a lot of them in my career, and they're very nice working women.
I did not mean to cast any aspersions on the
And I'm
reputation of.
concerned about their blood pressure at times. So,
And their pulse ox.
totally.
No, that's enough of that. All right.
Okay. So, blood pressure cuffs need to be calibrated. So if you get one freebie from your doctor, bring it back on the next appointment when they have time and make sure that the nurse or somebody make sure that they're actually giving you good readings.
Is it safe to assume that something you buy off the counter in a store, in a drugstore, has been calibrated? Is that industry
it's
standard?
going to have its moments, yeah. And then when you call and you're getting these totally bizarre readings, we don't know how to interpret that. So.
And the range of, like, quote unquote acceptable or healthy blood pressure has changed recently too, hasn't it? As far as having
Kind
they
of.
move the
It also depends who you ask. A cardiologist has a different opinion than an ER doc.
really
Yeah.
okay.
ER doc their job is not, they don't want this patient to die in the parking lot. A cardiologist wants to preserve cardiac function.
Okay.
So an ER doc is going to tolerate higher blood pressures than a cardiologist would. And probably in the ER doc's note is going to say, well, your blood pressure was a little high. Go talk to your cardiologist.
Okay.
So fractionation in healthcare are kind of still a thing. But yeah, so normal is, so we were all taught in school 120/80 was the ideal.
Right.
And to start having interventions at 140/90. And right now, the cardiologists, not necessarily family practice doctors, but the cardiologists are kind of intolerant of maybe 135/85.
Okay.
And they'll start treating that. Or 120/80 in some cardiology worldviews is too high, and that's when they'll start dietary interventions and exercise recommendations and things like that. So where do you want to be? For the most part, and this is different for different people, but they want 100/60, which if the nurse checks
100?
you at checks your blood pressure at the health fair and you get 100/60, the nurse will send you back to your primary, and that is considered a problem.
Right.
But it's actually considered normal in most people right now. And 90/50 is not that bad in somebody who's like a runner.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, like, my medical system will run in and say, somebody's 140/90. And I don't really react to that because I have this ER urgent care experience. So it's kind of hard for me to change my worldview on that.
I don't know if this is an answerable question or a naive question or what, but is there any? Because you start talking about how cardiologists are less willing to accept anything outside of their narrower range of blood pressure readings. Is there a financial reason for that?
I was going to ask the same thing.
And
I'm so cynical. Is there?
Yes.
No.
Really, there's not. Now you're going to be quote unquote.
I mean, other than fractionated care. I mean, don't you get the feeling sometimes when you go to the doctor's office that it's like we don't do that? How many times have you heard that?
I don't know. I'm not
hear
well
that.
versed.
Oh, I hear that a lot.
Yeah, I hear that too.
We don't do that. In
like
what
when I
what
used
context?
to do walk-in, and we in the old days, walk-in about 25 years ago, we sutured. We loved it. We read X-rays. We loved it. We did splinting. We did. I don't think they ever did casts there really because casts are not really an acute.
It's just
thing.
things that nowadays you'd be sent to the ER
And
for.
right now, people don't want to do them, and it's also you get more money at the ER than you do at urgent care, like by 10 times. So I know when I worked at Sutter, I went in one Saturday and all the suture was gone. That doesn't mean that I don't know how to suture.
Right.
It just means that they made it like impossible for me to do.
Well, but part of the thing too is, at least as I understand it, I mean, the medical profession over however long has gotten more and more specialized, and there's incentives for people to become specialists as compared to general practitioners because there's more money in it.
Right, there's more money in it. And yeah, you fractionate patients. General practitioners are what they're called now. It's actually family practice, but or primary care providers. They're kind of jacks of all trade. I suppose you could say Jills too, but they're also gatekeepers for all these specialists, and who don't always see the patient in the totality of who they are. But the family practice person can if they have enough time to cultivate a relationship.
Yeah.
It's sad. You're right. It's not right, but it is. So anyway, if you got a blood pressure cuff off the counter at Walmart, bring it in so the nurse can calibrate it and make sure. Our equipment is calibrated, I think, quarterly.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good job. The guy who does that,
Really?
he's the only one. appearance. So he's kind of like
wow.
king of the hill. Anyway.
That sounds like kind of a nice low pressure sort of thing, right? You're just interacting
he
with
kinda
machines.
just slouches in at 10:30. It's a very technical job, so I admire his expertise. But he's definitely king of the hill.
Does he use all of his equipment to check his own vitals and
That's
save
what
a few bucks that way too?
I know I've never seen him do that.
Or is he what everything's calibrated to? Is he
Right,
the standard?
he's the standard. Yes, yes.
Oh, God,
Del Nordman.
It's like, the king's arm is a yard, that kind of thing, right?
no idea, but that's kind of scary. So the next one is at-home testing. This is for the next wave that I'm going to talk about next week.
So just COVID-specific stuff, or are there
This
other
is
at-home
COVID
tests?
specific. We're now getting into like super COVID specific.
And that seems like everybody I know right now has tests at home. My kids are coming. It's spring break for my youngest, and so they're his sister. They're teaming up. They're coming up from the Bay Area tomorrow.
That's cool.
And and she's asking, are there rapid tests available there? Do you have home tests? Or she wants to make sure. My eldest wants to make sure that they don't pick up COVID on the way and endanger everybody's lives. But everybody I know has like home tests.
So do you have them?
I do.
Oh, good. And how would you get more if you ran out?
No idea. I'd say, hey, Lisa, we're all out of COVID tests, and then something would
Boy, are
happen.
you lucky she loves you.
Yes.
Yeah.
What? We're a team. Why is that a bad thing? The fractionation of our relationship. She's the specialist in charge of all the medical
Well,
stuff.
she is a librarian.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Lisa, Paul would be off caffeine by now.
Because because it's too much work to get my own coffee, is what he said.
That's funny. That is funny. There's been 2 rounds of federal testing that you can go online and just do COVID test federal, and it comes right up. And it on my phone, I was able to do it for almost everybody I knew in 15 minutes. You have to have a street address. If you have 2 addresses, you could order twice. And so I kind of did that like for my parents who think that it like magically appeared. But they're handing out, I think, they're supposed to be handing out 4 at a time, but I'm getting ones that are packaged as 6. I don't know why. And then, of course, we get them through the clinic. And I bet anybody could ask at the clinic and see if there's some, they're sitting in boxes in the hallway. So there's a lot of them around.
Are they accurate?
They're quick screening tests, and screening tests by definition, they have we accept a certain amount of inaccuracy. It's usually false negatives in this particular test. And the idea is you're supposed to repeat it in a period of time, and that increases the accuracy.
Right.
But when they only give you 4 and you have like 4 kids, that's a little hard to do.
But the positives, your
false positives are very rare.
Yeah.
False negatives are really common.
One thing that we've had happen, Lisa and I have done this, and I believe my kids are doing it too, is because they've spent time together. They and in their travels, and like with Lisa and I, when we were holed up after we thought there was a scare with her father having COVID, and maybe she brought some home. She didn't, but we used each other to double up our results since we live together and eat and sleep together and everything. And then I figured, all right, well, we'll test you, we'll test me. That's like the same as getting 2 tests, right? Because we basically share the same germ circus.
And that happens pretty commonly. Okay. Sometimes we'll treat kids for strep throat if one sibling has it. And
Right.
But they're trying to get away from that again, fractionation. But that's another example. So we play a game sometimes at UHS when I have mentees, young people that are interested in getting into medicine, and I try and give them opportunities to clarify what role they want to reach for, and then also give them ways to think about medicine. And so our favorite game right now with me and Nurse Cody is, what's your favorite vital sign?
That's great.
And so one of us will propose a clinical situation, and then, propose a hypothetical patient, and then say, what's the most important vital sign that we would need to evaluate this patient?
Credit score. But
no. That was funny.
Blood pressure bingo.
I'll bring that up. But one of them is for people in congestive heart failure. The bathroom scale is the most important piece of data.
Wow.
So
Why for people with congestive heart failure?
Because people with congestive heart failure, if they have an increase of weight, that's an increase of workload on the heart.
Uh-huh.
And that can mean that their cough that they want a Z-Pak for over the phone really is worsening congestive heart failure, which
Yeesh.
is not treated with a Z-Pak.
Ouch. Okay.
So,
okay.
So it's really important. In fact, important enough that Kaiser instituted this based on studies they did. They have a nurse call the people with congestive heart failure every day and to find out their weight.
Wow.
So a huge, big, enormous, easy to do thing that can keep you healthy. And so a change of greater than 3 pounds, so 3 pounds up in one day is considered
In one day?
in one day.
Okay, yeah.
Is considered worsening heart
Yeesh.
function.
Wow. All right. All right.
So, and I can't get anybody that I know with congestive heart failure to do this, although it's like the easiest thing ever. So if you know somebody, if you're taking care of somebody, or if you have congestive heart failure, get a bathroom scale. It can be your mother's. It can be 100 years old. You're not comparing it to our scales, which are calibrated by said dude.
You're reading-
when he wanted to.
Del Norte man.
Yeah, but all I'm looking for is the change from day to day.
right. It's
Okay,
measuring the
and
difference, right?
So Nurse Aaron is trained, and if he hears a rise of 3 pounds in one day, then he's going to react to you more accurately than he could before.
Wow,
So bathroom
okay.
scale's huge, undervalued thing.
Is there money in that?
I bet.
From
Bet
big
Amazon
scale?
just increase their prices of bathroom scales.
I don't trust digital scales. Let me just go on the record with that. I just don't trust that stuff.
It doesn't really matter. We're looking
Like
at,
so much
if
in
you're
my life.
looking at the same scale, it's just consistency from time to time, and I think the inconsistency is between scales.
Yes, I know, but even with the digital scales, how can you be sure that it's that you're getting the same sort of the consistency? Because it's just telling
Well,
you the
you'll know in
readout.
the first week that you use it.
Yeah, but okay. I'm just saying with the mechanical old school scale like that, the relationship stays the same. There's something about, I mean, a digital scale can get
Well, you like
hacked.
mechanics better than
Much more than
electronics.
digital. Yes.
Well, most people have mom's old scale, so that's likely been.
I can still remember the sound of that when I was a kid, and you step on it and you hear the wheels going and stuff. Yeah.
As compared to the ones that get hacked by the bots.
Exactly. I don't want somebody. My scale asked me if I started talking to me about my car warranty. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah,
So anyway, sorry.
some jerky boys are sitting in their mom's basement going, let's make him fat today.
It's like, when he steps on the scale, just have that make this sound. Oof. Okay, I'm sorry. So riff done.
That's fine. Anyway.
So bathroom scale. Are there other kind of conditions that your weight indication can be like a key sort of first clue?
I think that I mean not as acutely day to
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
but and then I think people should know that they shouldn't compare their scale at home because of what we just been saying to the scale in the clinic. That or you're going around and getting weighed at different people's houses. I don't know why that would happen, but you want a consistent scale.
I know why that would happen. Because at one point in my life, I don't have a scale. Because if I had a scale, I'd be on it every day. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so, I would go around to other people's houses and I'm going to use the bathroom, slip my shoes off and stand on the scale.
Okay.
And I could get 10 pounds variance just
Right.
between the
Yeah,
two.
that is not what you want to do.
Right,
But
yeah.
hopefully somebody with congestive heart failure isn't couch surfing. They have a stable environment.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
would be nice. So other stuff, kind of second line stuff, like first aid kit, you probably should have one.
What's in a well-stocked first aid kit? What should you have?
We talked about that once, actually,
Mm-hmm.
a go bag. Well, first of all, you ought to have Band-Aids. Second of all, you probably ought to have some kind of way to, like soap, like to wash a wound.
Okay.
Like soap. Do not use alcohol.
Really?
on
Okay.
wounds. Do not use hydrogen peroxide on wounds.
Okay.
Those things are so toxic to life in general, they kill the cells trying to make you better.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
okay.
they impede healing.
You don't need to nuke yourself with that stuff.
No,
then,
you
like that.
don't.
Okay.
Soap and water is fine.
Yeah,
If you want to do antibacterial soap, I suppose you could do hand sanitizer, but that would sting.
Yeah.
Because that's alcohol, right?
Right,
So you're
right.
going back to the no alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So people are always really pleased to tell me that's how they took care of it, and I shoot them down. So that's what I mean.
What I'm what else? I'm trying to imagine what's in a first aid kit that you'd need, like an ace bandage, but probably not. Or
Sure, thermometer.
Neosporin, maybe?
Neosporin is bad.
Okay, tell me about this. Why?
Yeah, we talked about this before too. So
I think I remember
bacitracin
that.
is now preferred,
Okay.
at least with the urgent care emergency room. They're said not only is Neosporin, you have a 50-50 chance of being allergic to it.
Oh,
so
wow.
It makes the wound look worse.
Uh-huh.
But also they think it's a cofactor in MRSA development.
E.
It's probably not the single thing that did it.
Yeah.
But they think it's probably a cofactor.
Huh.
So probably selected.
So
for a
what should you
resistant
have
factor.
instead? What was it you should have instead?
Bacitracin.
Bacitracin.
So that means triple antibiotic is a no-go because that's another way to hide Neosporin in there. And cortisporin is Neosporin.
Okay.
So Neosporin is bad. So most advice you get from wound care people, emergency room people, or urgent care people is just throw it away.
Okay. Oh, wow. I've got several tubes of that over in the house. I'll have to throw that away. Lisa, that's one of the prime things Lisa has stocked up is Neosporin. Okay.
Yeah, bacitracin is way better.
She also has a hydrogen peroxide fetish. I think it's an ASMR thing. She likes to put it on stuff and listen to it.
Well, it's cool. But do you know why it does that?
No, why? Because it's killing everything.
Kind of. So hydrogen peroxide was when we were in the primordial ooze, was an early toxin.
Okay.
And so the earliest forms of life have catalase, which is the enzyme that breaks hydrogen peroxide down into water and oxygen.
Okay.
Okay. So that's so this is like 7th grade science.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
that's
Go
why
ahead,
it's
insult me.
I know.
it's universally toxic.
Wow.
Oh, so it'll kill whatever's.
It's so toxic that all life on the planet has pretty much developed catalase as a workaround.
And so humans went, let's
disarm
bottle
it.
it.
And use it as a disinfectant.
That's right.
Right.
It'll kill those germs. The bubbling is killing germs. It is, but it's killing your cells too.
Damn. Okay.
But
All
is
right,
it
cool.
actually killing the germs? Or
Yeah.
do they have catalase too?
Well, extremophiles might. I don't know. You could. I'm sure there's some germ in the world that is impervious to it, but it's a universal. It's probably the first universal toxin.
Oh, wow. So no Neosporin, the
And no hydrogen peroxide.
hydrogen peroxide. This
And no
Lisa's
alcohol.
not going to like this episode.
I got to go
Sorry.
through my trauma bag. I
Right?
mean, yeah, but I have like some stuff that's like kind of quasi-military gear, wound treatment and things like that. Well, because being out in the middle of nowhere, if something happens, you got to be able to do something.
It's sulfa drugs.
Yeah. Sulfa. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So other things that you should have probably in your first aid kit is Tylenol and ibuprofen. I mean, ibuprofen is really helpful for pain control, also helpful for fever, but not everybody can take it. So people with gastrointestinal bleeding problems, people who are on certain medications that are blood thinners, and people who have kidney failure can't really take ibuprofen. And you would know this because your doctor would probably tell you, try and prescribe it to you and then decide not to give it to you, like every time you go in.
Is it important to know what you can use Tylenol for as opposed to ibuprofen? Because they don't. It's not a perfect overlap as far as what they treat. Like one's better for inflammation, right?
I guess so, but I think it's also dependent on somebody's personal medical history, what other meds they're on, and what works for them. Like when I worked with Kalani Baker in Waukon, and Kalani's another PA who was there for a long time. She was a big fan of naproxen because personally it worked better on her than ibuprofen. These are just two anti-inflammatories, and I'm like, naproxen, that doesn't do anything. So I think we all have unique biochemical kind of pathways that work, that make some drugs work better for us than others.
Okay.
Unless they're contraindicated. So Tylenol also, the word, I hear this a lot in clinic that people are afraid to take Tylenol because it's going to kill their liver. So
Yeah, no, but I hear that with both of them, with ibuprofen, and that's why you don't take these like every
ibuprofen
day.
is metabolized in the kidneys.
Okay, so
somebody
that's why it's
tells
kidney
me they
failure.
don't want to take it because it'll kill their liver. That's an educational opportunity moment. So
You're so nice.
I know. So what we need to understand about the pills, because this is big pharma financial scandal is that each of these pills only Tylenol over the counter and ibuprofen only have small amounts of drug in them. So they're like the mini M&Ms. Okay.
Okay.
So that's why you can safely take 4 ibuprofen if in fact you can safely take ibuprofen. And people look at me and they say, that's too much medicine. It's going to, kill my liver. Number one, it's not metabolized in the liver. It's a kidney thing.
But Tylenol's metabolized in the liver, is that true?
Tylenol
Okay,
is.
gotcha.
And unless you have a specific medical reason that your provider has said don't take one of these drugs, if you stick with the over-the-counter stuff, even people with cirrhotic livers can tolerate Tylenol to a small extent.
Can tolerate Tylenol or ibuprofen? What are we
I'm
talking
about Tylenol.
Okay.
Tylenol's metabolized in the liver.
Right. So
Even people with cirrhotic livers can tolerate small amounts of Tylenol.
Gotcha.
Even people with kidney transplants can do a little bit of ibuprofen, but it's preferred that they not.
Right.
Okay. So, number one, if you have any comorbidities at all, clarify with your doctor. Number two, follow the instructions, because what I hear oftentimes is people when all they want is Vicodin, then they'll tell me that they're taking, like twice the dose of Tylenol as it says on the bottle. And so to prove that it's not helping them. So that's like banging your head against the wall. If it's hurting, maybe you should bang harder. I mean, I don't know why people do that. And then, of course, they're disappointed to hear Vicodin has Tylenol in it. And so now they've overdosed themselves on Tylenol, and I can't give them the Vicodin.
You can't give them the Vicodin, oh my God.
So, yeah, don't try and go there. The doctors know the chemistry of it.
Get your drug-seeking lies straight before you show up, right?
I would say maybe the conversation that should be happening in the room is how do you solve pain without misusing drugs in any way. Right. So I would hope that most providers would be sensitive to that.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So I talked about pantry items. I actually found this really helpful since March 2020. And I mentioned this once before, and I understand that a lot of people can't afford that, but canned beans got me through. Okay, I'm just saying.
Got you through what?
March 2020.
Oh, okay.
When I felt like Safeway might not be a safe place to go to.
All right.
So, I think having some canned fruits and vegetables on hand is probably a good one for the next big pandemic. So, in a durable power of attorney.
I saw that. That was her last thing on the list. That's why I was laughing here a second ago. What good would the durable power of attorney get to do
Somehow
for
or
you?
another, it immediately follows the canned vegetables.
I must make
Special
the list
botulism clause.
No, because it's... So I think it's important in any healthcare situation, especially if somebody is a happy hypoxic and not really thinking very clearly, to have somebody that the providers can turn to and make decisions like, that are really going to affect the person's long-term care.
Right.
And the extreme example, of course, is if somebody's oxygen level is too low and they're in the intensive care unit and they're kind of whacked, who's going to speak for you when they're talking about intubation? So durable power of attorney is important, although not immediately if you cut your finger on a can,
Okay.
But eventually, so many decisions need to be made, and there's no clear advocate for the patient, and then doctors start making decisions based on rule-out lawsuit. Really?
So you're talking, durable power of attorney. When you say that, you're talking about just have somebody who is familiar, who can be your advocate if you're out of it.
Have a signed piece of paper.
Right, because they should legally be your advocate as opposed to just being, I know what's going on here and possibly misinforming.
It's clearer if it's a family member, but if it's not, then or you don't want your family members to be making decisions like that, but your bestie has got your intentions at heart, then make sure it's clear legally. It's not hard to print something off the internet and have somebody sign it. It really
okay.
isn't.
That's an interesting thing and not something I would have expected you to bring up.
Right.
But yeah, that's a good point.
UHS hands them out, has a really nice booklet. And if I suppose they would give it to anybody, patient or not, if somebody dropped by and asked for it. And it really clarifies in a really concise way about how you should make the decision for what you want done, what your wishes are, and who you pick to be your voice.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, super important.
Wow. Yeah, I would never have even thought of that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the first thing. If somebody calls, let's say a neighbor finds a patient and has a concern, because of HIPAA laws, it's really hard for us to talk to them. If we say, if we have some indicator that, that person isn't just random to the sick individual, then we can do more for that person.
Right.
Stupid laws. Stupid HIPAA. But anyway.
Bad HIPAA.
Well, is that completes the list? Is that if you get all of this? I was just going through this riff in my head about Lisa walking into the bathroom and asking me why there's an attorney in there.
You don't need, yeah. Yeah, you can just download something. Maybe you need it notarized in some circumstances. But.
Yeah. Well, and then if you expect it to be challenged in any way, it's important to take care of all of that before.
Sure.
If you've got people who are going to try to muscle in on you.
Or if you're, there's two durable power of attorneys. The assumption here is I'm speaking for the one for health.
Right.
Not for the financial.
Exactly. Exactly.
Anyway.
All right, Lynn, anything else?
No, but I think I'm going to talk about the resurgence of the COVID virus in Europe.
Yeah.
Are we back to
BA2.
COVID next week?
Yeah, we are.
Dun, dun, dun. Who could have thought that would happen?
I can't imagine. I mean, how long do we have to half-ass something before we get it right? I just don't get How many years will we have to go through?
Right, yeah. Like how many half-asses does it take to make a whole ass?
Exactly. Wow.
It's the downside of freedom of choice, I guess.
Man.
Can I put in a vote for a future program?
Yeah.
I'd love to do a program on backroom medical humor.
Oh, like kind of the journalist room, the reporter
Yeah, right.
room,
Yeah,
kinda
like newsroom
the
humor,
black humor kind of
Yeah,
thing. Like
yeah.
what are they really saying about you after you leave?
Oh, there's a lot of it. There's.
I'm sure there is. Yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah.
and it's dark.
I know. I'm sure it
like
is.
ER nurses, they're
Yeah.
like halfway evil.
Maybe in conjunction with either April Fool's Day or the International Day of No Significance.
I was the International Day of No Significance.
Which is when?
April 11th.
Yes.
Okay, good to know.
That could be a good sort of that could be a nice
So like the
clip
kinetic
show.
sculpture, the mediocrity award. Do you remember that?
No, I did. Did they give a mediocrity
Well, they
award?
did. My neighbor won it one year. There's the first place, there's last place, and then there's right in the middle.
Yeah. All right.
great.
Yes.
I know. Her heart was really amazing, man. The sense of humor was awesome. Anyway.
Well, Lynn Szabo, PA, thank you so very much. You said this was going to be a quick one, and it's not because I kept screwing things up, I think. But it's 42 minutes.
But it went fast.
It did. It was very informative, actually. And but thank you so very much. And so I look forward to next week's Health Matters.
Alrighty.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Holy mother of God, he's flatlining. You killed him.
Dude, you missed the third home run and you killed him.
Where are those little heart paddle things that George Clooney uses?
Not those! Dude, let's just bail.
Give me these things. You're gonna kill him. Clear.
It looks like you're overdue for your dose of Health Matters, a show about all matters of health, right from the mouth of local PA Lynn Szabo, into the receptive ears of the KFUG crew, packaged neatly for any listener hoping to stay informed in the wide, wild world of health, diseases and medicines, new developments, and the unforeseen impacts of both. All that and much, much more on Health Matters. On the air Sundays at 12:30 p.m. and Tuesdays at 11 a.m., with episodes produced and published on our YouTube channel. For all your health matters, it's Health Matters, only on 101.1 FM on your radio dial and streaming worldwide on kfugradio.org.
Damn it, man! I'm trying to save an innocent life.